coming to Wayward Sisters. This week we're talking about Casifer. And for those who don't know who that is, maybe you should go watch the episodes first because we're going to be spoiling a lot. But if you don't care for spoilers, it's Lucifer possessing Cas, if you couldn't derive that from the name.
And it's one of the hottest plot lines I've ever seen unfold in front of me. Wow.
Casifer.
But we do have a list of things. So when they popped him from the cage in the first place, I literally don't even remember what the purpose. Oh, I do remember. Just kidding. They were freeing him so he could try to cage Amara, right?
Yeah.
But there was something about the spell. I don't remember what it was, but it didn't work because he had found a vessel, aka Cas. But I don't remember what it was.
There was a complication. They were I think they were talking to Lucifer and trying to convince him to do this with them. And then he was like, nah. And then Michael got into it, and then there was a fight. And
in the cage.
In the cage, and Castiel and Lucifer were fighting. And that's when he's like, hey, I'll give you, permission to use me if you help us defeat tomorrow. I'll get you out of here.
Right. I'll pop you out of this cage if you agree to help with Amara.
Yep. And they didn't tell the bros.
Yeah, of course he didn't, because that's kind of like a trend. Nobody tells anybody anything. And then the brothers go back topside, and Casifer is still in hell with Crowley and Rowena, which, might I add, that whole scene was so well done.
I'm back, baby.
It's so well done. The whole, but the one thing I want to say that I did not care for in that little scene, other than, Rowena getting her neck snapped, was Misha's choice of facial expression. The weird facial expression when he goes, guess again. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's a little weird. It's cheeky.
He's a sly, sneaky little guy, but the facial expression he uses is, really weird and, honestly a little bit unsettling. And that's the only, ick I get from Casifer. And then he, comes up to Rowena.
Yeah, but, I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah. Oh my god, when I watched it the first time, and he killed Rowena, and I screamed, and I texted you, and I was like...
I can kind of remember myself doing that, too.
I was like, oh my god! I texted you, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, oh my god, I know I did not just see that happen. That did not just happen. And it did. And I was like, I think this was, well after the point where I grasped the, death doesn't really stick around here. So, well, no, because Rowena dies at least twice at Lucifer's hand. So, I was like, is she dead or is she dead? With air quotes.
Yeah, because you really don't know. Because, I think this is the first time Rowena's actually died on screen is Lucifer killing her.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because the time after that was the end of season 12. The second time she died, it wasn't even on screen. The second time wasn't even on screen. You just saw the dead body. It was weird, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, burnt and crisp like a chip.
And because I remember Lucifer on the phone with Sam, he's like, I'm going to be a dad. I can't have whatever. I don't know. I don't listen when Lucifer talks unless it's Casifer.
Yeah.
But, just that whole sequence was so well done, and, props to Misha, because that man is such a good actor. I'm a little bit partial.
Just a bit. But, I've learned to appreciate it by proxy to you. So, You know, I can see it.
Become a Misha stan by proxy.
Exactly, like 100% though.
Speaking of, I totally off topic. I like had to tackle today the like, I love Sam but I don't like Jared kind of thing. 'Cause like, I don't like Jared, but like obviously that's not. It has nothing to do with Sam, so it's like. Because I was looking on Twitter, and this account was, like, tweeting about Sam, so I scrolled through their profile before I liked their tweet. Because I wanted to figure out if they were a Wincesty, because, like, being a Wincesty and a Sam stan kind of go hand in hand sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
So, but they were, like, retweeting about, like, being Misha stan, so I was like, okay. I was like, shit, I love Sam, but I hate Jared. It was a whole thing.
Yeah. I was watching The Vessel, you know, to prepare for this episode. And I was just like, how does Sam, why does Sam have the audacity to make his geeky ramblings sound cool and interesting?
No, literally.
Like, I wish I had that power, but I can't go up to someone and say, ooh, I learned this new language. Let me talk to you in this phrase. And, or, like, go on a rant about the bubonic plague or supernatural for that matter. And they're just like, and, like, them actually being interested. Sam has a power, and I wish I had it.
No, literally, me rambling to random people about imperialism and France and World War II for, like, unexplained periods of time, and they're like, I don't care, please stop talking.
Bro, this is the thing though, okay? The way me and my partner got together, I knew he was interested in me because he let me talk on end about corsets and historical dress, and he was just like, just text me about it. I'd love to hear more about it. I'm like, this is phony. Okay, you must really like me if you want to hear me talk about this.
I really enjoy him. He's a good time. A little bitch, but I love him, so not in the same way you do. He can, ew, man, gross. But
gross except Nisha. Now back on topic. Cas's deal though, okay? There's, like, a pattern with all the things he, like, puts his mind into. Like, he finds a cause, and he sticks to it. And, I mean, like, with, like, his whole embodiment, he puts his soul and heart into any decision that he really makes. So it's it's these drastic things. You can see it over and over and over again, like with, you know, fighting Raphael, to trying to become God, to freeing Lucifer because he was like 100% sure that all these things were gonna work, and they ended up backfiring on him. And I think he eventually learns his lesson, but it kind of speaks to how he, like, lived the first couple billion years of his life.
Well, I would argue he doesn't even learn shit because of the Jack situation. Not even 2 seasons later. Literally the following season.
The following season, there's that whole...
Throws his entire being into Jack. Not... Like, that's a different episode, though.
He becomes, like, a surrogate husband to Kelly. Just, like... Like the gay husband to the straight wife.
The husbandification of Castiel.
Click.
There's something about Cas and Kelly that is so inherently wrong to me, and it just, their dynamic does not work, and I don't like it.
With Cas and Kelly, I mean, Cas went from, like, being completely on board with Dean and being like, this is the devil's kid, and, you know, we need to get rid of him. They're super powerful being Lucifer's gonna, you know, take him and help him, use him to destroy the world. And Well, he got that vision from Jack, and it just kind of changed him. He saw this beautiful world, and it's the one thing he's been striving towards. He just wants people to be happy and safe, and so that Dean can be happy and safe. And that's what persuaded him, really, to, go with Kelly. And I think Cassis is such a caring person. He just like I said before, he pours his heart into it so fully that it comes off, like, very strong.
No, yeah, that man does not do anything half-assed. That he puts everything he's got into whatever he's backing at the moment, which 9 times out of 10 is whatever half-baked scheme Dean cooked up for some ungodly reason. But then, like, oh my gosh.
But there's something about this decision.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about this decision. He wanted to do a whole bunch, but, we have here in this page his depression was
that's what
really
I was gonna bring up was, like, and the whole, like, because I was watching Hell's Angel, and that's the episode where, Casifer is trapped in the holy fire and whatnot, and Dean is, like, trying and, like, begging Cass to, like, expel him. And, Lucifer's just like, he seems pretty okay with the situation. He did invite me in and all. And that just, like something about it just really, like, hits you right in the stomach of, like, oh my gosh, like, he's right. Like, at the time, like, when Cass invites him in, it's kind of like a one-off thing. Like, can you cage Amara? And he's like, yeah, then yes, you can ride shotgun. But then you, like, go back and think about it, and you're like, oh, like, shit. And I think Cass's mental illness is really overlooked obviously everybody's mental illness in that show is grossly overlooked. But Cass is especially, like, no one treats Cass right. And, like his little, like, so-called, I want to call it a happy place, like, where he goes in his mind to pass the time while Lucifer's driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally the bunker's kitchen, which I think is very sweet. But he all he does is sit there and watch TV, and...
Yeah.
And, when Crowley goes into Cass's consciousness to, like, try to, like, get his ass in gear, there's just something about, like, how nonchalant Cass is and, like, non-motivated and just demoralized until he realizes, like, he has a moment when he realizes that he saw Dean and, like, spoke to him, and then, like, when he's like, he wants me to kick Lucifer out, that seems like a really bad idea. And just goes back to watching TV. And Crowley's like, would you get your ass? And then there's the whole fight sequence, like, in Cass's head, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
But I want to backtrack in that episode a little bit to when they managed to get Cass to show himself. And it goes from, like, Dean, like, yelling at Lucifer with that, like, stone cold, like, hard expression to, like, Cass being in front and Dean just immediately going soft and be like, Cass, we don't have time for this.
He
like,
knows
you
Cass.
gotta kick him out. Like, you gotta do this. And then when he switches back to Lucifer and Dean is just absolutely horrified, it's like heart-wrenching. It's painful to watch.
Oh, that whole episode is, because the whole thing is just so telling of Cass and, like, what's going on with him. I think going back to the whole, purpose and, setting his whole mind to something, he has failed Dean so many times, and he just wants to do the right thing, take the take the, you know, the big risk for the team and, you know, save the day, which kind of is telling that he goes to Lucifer, the angel of pride, because Castiel in this moment, you know, in this decision is being very, I must do this myself, I need to prove myself. He's being very prideful, and he goes to the angel of pride to, you know, complete this ongoing mission of his, and it ends up, you know, overtaking him, and he falls into this slump. He kind of lets it ride him out, and he falls into this, like, slump, and it's like he doesn't really know what to do with himself.
Right. And I just feel like so bad for him. He says it later in a different season, I think. Yeah, it's the mixtape scene, you know the one. And he just wants to make Dean proud so bad. Like, I think, and here's the thing with episode 11, season 11, episode 18, Hell's Angel, is, like, I think, obviously, Purgatory, I think, was when Dean really realized how much he loved Cas, whether, you know, you want to think of it romantically or brotherly or whatever. Like, he realized, I need him in my life. Like, I can't live without him.
I genuinely care for him.
Right. And when, you know, when Cas was ripped away from him in Purgatory, and, you know, he did everything in his power to get him back. And then, like, Casifer comes along, and has that, like, moment of, like, he's been without Cas for so long, even though, you know, Cas's body is right here, it's not Cas. And then he switches, like, Cas is, you know, in the driver's seat again, and Dean is like, oh my god, he's right here, like, I have to tell him everything right now. And then he switches back, and you just see Dean, like, completely shut down, and, like, is horrified, and then...
Yeah, his face stony.
Yeah, and then, like, he's trying to get Cas to, like, take back over, and when Casifer mocks him, he's just absolutely, like, horrified, and cannot believe Lucifer would have the audacity, but also is, like, he's like, I don't sound like that, I don't sound like that. It's, like, a moment where he realizes, like, when it's, like, fed back to him how much he needs Cas. He's, like, he, like, can't comprehend it.
You, like, throw it back in your face, and he's just shocked by the consequences.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah.
But it's, like, everybody
really
knows. Everybody knows.
I mean, the number of comments that just happened. Everyone in the world, like, knows. Except each other. But I would also like to talk about Lucifer in this situation. Well, maybe not in this situation. The whole Lucifer spying, you know, being Cas. This is the... I got a pencil in my hand now. He does! I mean, okay, the vessel is what I'm going to use, because this is the episode I just watched, and it's actually one of my favorite in the Casifer arc, I believe. But, you know, you see him all, you know, Lucifered up in hell, with, you know, being a complete dom to the demons with the praise kings, and it's a whole mood, and it's such a strong dominant personality. But then he goes to be Cas when Dean or Sam calls, and he goes straight to being, he comes to the bunker and whatever, and his tone and whatever is so Cas, but he's still acting a bit like Lucifer. You can, like, see the residual sass and, you know, Castiel becomes a lot more sassy after he's possessed by Lucifer. The vibe is just the slightest bit off. He does a good job of imitating Cas, but you just can't get there at some points. And another thing about this episode is that he takes off his trench coat. He literally strips to distract them. He's practically naked. I'm sorry. That's like, and he uses these tactics, and it's they work. And another thing at the very beginning of the episode, when he's, they're devising this plan to get the hand of God or whatever,
Dean's like, fuck it, let's go.
Time travel is a whole different system. I could totally get you there. And Sam's being like, but like, dude, your power, it's, you don't even have your wings, you're gonna hurt yourself. And like, Sam's being the concerned one at this point, but like, Dean, Dean's like, he sees how confident this Cas is about doing this, and he trusts Cas, so like, just as like by a default. And you can even see at the end of the episode, he's just like, he has this standard for Cas that he just trusts. He tells the truth. He does what's right, and they got over all of their lying relationships or whatever. But this, like, Dean kind of holds that same thing Cas does about the strong conviction of their will, and that for Dean is a conviction of Cas and his character, right. And he will always trust it, and even when it's challenged, he will stand by it until there's like distinguishable proof that he's wrong. And it breaks your heart in this episode and all the others before they know it's Casifer, because you're like, we know, but he doesn't, right. And he's just putting all of his trust in this person when we can obviously see the signs, and it's heartbreaking. But like, it kind of speaks to how strong their bond is at the very least.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's gonna sound so like twisted and backwards, but the whole Casifer situation was like so good for their relationship. As friends, as pining lovers, whatever you want to call it, it really just demonstrated to Dean how much, like, he needed him. And it's really, like, Dean has had so many, like, come to Jesus moments about it. Like, Purgatory, this, season 12, finale anyway. Just so many, like,
whatever you may make of it.
And it's not even, like, a subtle thing. It's like he's there and then he's not. It's a, like, shockwave of, like, oh my God, like, I need him in my life. But, it's their relationship is really interesting. And then in the vessel, when Casifer finally reveals himself, I don't know, there's something about that scene that I just really enjoy. I think it's the look on Sam's face. I love Sam. I love him so much. But as smart as he is, he's a little bit stupid. Because Casifer is like giggling at him. He's like, I don't need you anymore. Dean's the one with the connection to Amara. Like, why am I even wasting my time with you? And then the whole, like, maybe it's because you're like the girl who keeps turning me down at the prom. And,
which is a metaphor that he's used before.
Right. It's like, Lucifer's gonna wear you to the prom. You're the girl who keeps turning me down at the prom. They have a weird obsession with the prom. It's weird. He wants to go to prom.
He never got to go to prom.
Now it doesn't sound like a word. Yeah.
He wants to wear his good suit.
But he's like, and then like you could see the gears turning in Sam's mind, and he slowly realizes that he's like,
you could see it dawn on him.
Yeah, it's like he's like oh my god, it's Lucifer, and then they have the whole exchange about like before Casifer reveals himself about like I'll let you touch my soul so that you have enough juice to get Dean back here. And then, he reveals himself and whatever. And then he, like, shoves Sam up against that pillar and whatever. And he's like, you know what? I think I will touch your soul with that weird little hand movement. He's like, I think I will touch your soul. Just because you asked so nicely. And when Dean comes back and finds this place decorated with your guts, I'll just tell him, Dean. And then he does the little, like, change into Cass's voice.
He's like, wait. He's like, wait. Yes.
Dean. He knew the risks. And he wouldn't take no for an answer. With the Cass facial expressions. And you're like, oh, no. And then, he's like, first of all, how'd you do that?
And then, as well, you get chills because the acting.
Yes!
The
Misha Collins is such a good actor!
Transition.
Misha being able to go between two characters in a matter of, like, milliseconds. Who
are complete opposites.
Yes! And I will die on this hill that Misha gave the best performance of Lucifer of any actor on the show. Anybody, like, Mark's Lucifer is good. I will admit it. He does a good job. But
he gets the creepy down. Creepy and annoying.
Yeah, Misha knocked it out of the park. Just absolutely, like, he was so good. And I know that I'm partial. I love Misha so dearly, and I would do anything for him. But I really, truly think, like, he was the best Lucifer. And anyway, I could go on about that forever. But just him being able to go, like, from one extreme to the other in a matter of milliseconds is just absolutely fantastic. But he reveals himself, and then he brings Dean back from the submarine, and Sam, like, the whole, like, that's not Cass, and they're like, cat's out. The whole scene.
Cat's out.
It's so funny to me. It's part of my alarm. Actually, it's part of my morning alarm.
Really?
My morning alarm is the sound of a Casifer edit, and it's just like a bunch of different clips that ends with the, if it makes you comfy, could call me God. So, in case you were wondering what makes me up in the morning.
I remember when you first changed it, but, yeah, that's a great way to wake up.
The first
Mine's
Cas
just an alarm.
That was the first Cas alarm was a good one, too. But,
yeah.
The whole entirety of Hell's Angel as well, when he's in heaven anyway, and, like, talking with the other angels and stuff. Mm-hmm. The whole thing. I think first of all, it's very attractive, but that just could be because I have issues.
Well, that whole entrance into heaven and taking control, it just shows how badass they are.
Oh, yeah. And, like, the whole, like, he's such a sarcastic little shit. That's the best way I can describe it. He's such a little shit. And I love him, but he's so annoying. I promise I love him. I love him.
But
you have on the
Yes,
list
so,
Lucifer's tactics. I don't have much to say about that.
I didn't put that on there.
I didn't put it on there either. Who put it on there? It says,
I don't even want to. I put the stripping to distract.
It was you. It was you. You lied to me.
I put the bottom. I put the last part on.
It says, Lucifer's tactics, how Lucifer of the show lines up with biblical and other descriptions of him, question mark. Stripping to distract.
Question mark.
And I looked. It says you put it on there at 8:24 p.m.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
On Thursday.
I didn't do that today.
It is Thursday.
I didn't put that on there.
Yes, you did.
I haven't touched this document. I have not.
It says 8:24 p.m. Thursday. Today's Thursday.
Yeah,
Sure?
I did stripping to distract earlier.
The whole
stripping
thing.
to distract.
The whole thing highlights under your name.
No.
Anyway.
It was just the bottom part.
Whatever.
What?
Fuck. Look. So
I see what you're saying, but I did not put that on there.
Whatever.
Unless I have, like, short-term memory loss.
Probably. You spend a lot of time with me, so it could be like a trauma thing. I don't know. I have a lot. I do.
I know his whole, like, downfall story, and
I know the
he's
Paradise
got daddy
Lost
issues.
Version.
No. Okay, wait. The Paradise Lost version?
Yeah. That's all I got. I've never read the Bible. Truth be told.
No, okay. So, if we're gonna go on, like, get on topic, I think I have something. Lucifer has severe daddy issues.
Oh, well, obviously. Don't we
all the angels kind of do, you know, because their dad, God, kind of yeeted himself out of there and, you know, watched the world burn.
He left. He just dipped.
Straight up just left. But you can tell because, you know, the whole story of Lucifer is that he was God's favorite. And depending on whatever version you believe in or you have heard or whatever, because I'm not trying to be religiously political at all, but from the stories that I've been told, he refused. The whole point is that he refused to, love humans more than God. He wanted to be God's favorite. He's the angel of pride. He wants to make his father proud. Is what, cast him down to hell. But he got, like, eternally scorned. And he this whole season is about, confronting this issue in a way. Like, there's like, he takes for the first half, Lucifer is like, I'm on a revenge mission. I just want to kill my dad, or whatever it was. But then they get them in the bunker together, and he just reverts to being a little annoying ass.
He's like
child.
A little grumpy teenager. With the rock music
beforehand,
blasting.
He went. But he went and took over heaven to finally be back in that place he hadn't been for a millennia, several millennia, and he did that to kind of show off. He's like, hey, I was his number one. I am now back, and you're gonna do what I want because I am. One, an annoying little shit, and two, I have daddy issues, and three, I I'm gonna probably cut this out. I have a power kink.
Leave that in. Leave that in. Please, for the love of God, leave that in.
But, like, he just, you know, I know Misha was totally channeling it when he was doing the whole Conference of the Angels thing. Like, he literally went and sat on an angel's lap. Like, Misha just, out of nowhere, sat on an angel's lap and just continued to do it. He was, like, in his personal space just to intimidate him.
His dialogue.
And you know, which is one of my favorite little stories, that it was so random and that you can still see some of the other angels, one, looking super duper confused, and two, trying not to break because they weren't entirely sure if, like, this was gonna be, like, a take
right
yet. And it was
the whole, like,
it's
I didn't buy into his obsessive compulsive love for mankind, and that whole scene is just really beautifully acted by everybody involved.
But okay, I have not been able to find this, like, at all, and I told you about it. And so, to those listening who have even gotten this far, I distinctly remember a blooper of this, you know, of Misha, you know, the whole line, well, if it makes you comfy, you can call me God, right? But it's Misha saying, it's Misha saying, if it makes you comfy, you can call me daddy. Am I completely wrong of that being a thing?
I don't know.
I
can't find it.
Completely making this up? Because me neither. Granted, I have not looked as thoroughly as you have. I have been. It's not really my top priority, but I, like, 100% swear that I saw this on YouTube somewhere, and I have not been able to find it.
I have scoured the internet, and it's nowhere. It doesn't. Like, I'm sure it exists somewhere.
It's not even memed.
Not that I can find.
It's not memed, though.
Not that I can find. I'm
Which
sure
is bizarre.
On some unofficial gag reel or something that it exists, and I'm sure, knowing Dmitry Krushnik, knowing that man, I'm sure he said it, but I cannot find it.
I mean, it's 100% something that he would actually do and say, but,
like, he definitely
oh my
did
gosh. I need the proof again, because I don't want to sound crazy. And you deserve to see
happened. I know, he's too much to not have done it.
Exactly.
Like, he definitely saw, like, the opportunity and took it, so.
Gosh. Casifer's just great, and there's just so much that goes into it. There's so much, you know, we credit so much bad storytelling to, like, the writers or whatever, but this arc is so good.
It's so
I've heard that a lot of people don't really like the later seasons, that, like, after season, well, I know you don't like season 7, that, like, after season 6, it really just kind of goes off the rails. But, you know, if you like that stuff, it really works. But I think, like, this season 11, is just, the storytelling and is a little, you know, out there with the whole Amara being God's sister and whatever, and soulless people. But specifically the Casifer section is so well written, and the parallels are awesome, and the character development and the character insight, it just makes me happy when these little things pop up.
He's so sweet. Do you know what I think, though? Is I think this is really random. I think Chuck being God took a really sharp left turn that no one was expecting. Which, obviously, that was the point. But of all of the people, of all the, like, not to say that Chuck is a one-off character, but, like, of all the, like, wacky side characters. Chuck? Chuck Shirley. Why?
Well, here's the thing.
The
theory that... probable thing I could think of... The only probable thing that I could really think of, like, why the writers chose to do this, because they 100% did not plan this beforehand when they introduced Chuck, is that they've already established Chuck to be a really, really, really bad writer. And so they get to blame all the mistakes on the canonically bad writer.
No, literally. They said, Chuck's a bad writer. We're bad writers. Let's blame everything on Chuck. It's so bad.
Which, I mean, does kind of make me forgive a lot of their mistakes, because it's actually kind of creative that they did that in the first place. You know, I'm like, here for cleverness and
it's such a backdoor way to avoid responsibility.
And, you know, it can be infuriating at times, but like if they went and blamed everything on him, and it's a joke. That's really it. You know, it's a joke, and if you take it seriously, then you know, you're part of the problem. But I just think it's hilarious. I can forgive a lot of the, you know, mistakes in the show.
Yeah, I like the theory as well that Chuck was a prophet that God just kind of like inhabited after he died, because every time I try to bring it up, I totally forget what I was going to say, but I remember it this time, so go me. Because it makes sense that, like, you know, the whole rule that, like, a prophet is awakened after the one before them dies. So we meet Chuck. Yeah. We meet Chuck as a prophet in whatever season it was, like season 4 or whatever. I
think it was season 4, yeah.
Season 4. Lilith. And then we meet Kevin Tran in season 7. 6. Season 6, season 7.
Wait,
no, it was season 7. Crazy
Cas. It was season 7. Yeah.
Season 7, Crazy Cas.
Yeah, but you know, for Kevin to be awakened, is what you're saying, is that
Chuck would have to have been died. Dead. Would have had to have been died. Yes. He would have had to die. He would have had to die. He would have to be dead for Kevin to have been awakened.
So that Kevin would be the next. Yeah.
I'm like, so then. And also, no hate to Rob Benedict. I love the man. But was he the best casting choice? Not that there's anything wrong with his acting abilities. He's just not attractive.
But he definitely did play Chuck, the writer who knows that he's horrible at writing, is like an alcoholic and has no control over his life whatsoever. He does play that very well.
And later on, when he like goes full on like evil mode, I think he does a really good job. I just the fact that the concept of like God could have chosen to look like anybody, and he chose to look like Rob Benedict. I don't know. It's something I find a lot of joy in. I love Rob. I really do. He's a great guy. It's but, just like, you know, you could have looked like Jensen Ackles and you chose Rob Benedict. But I digress.
Yeah.
I digress. Rob is a great actor.
Yes.
But also circling back to what we're supposed to be talking about, with like at the beginning / middle of Hell's Angel, when Casifer is in heaven and he's like talking to Jophiel and whatever, with the cute little like, you know the face, yeah, and like the finger like over his teeth and whatever. He's like, and Jophiel's like, how poetic, heaven's most hated, or like heaven's most hated inside of heaven most wanted. Like that's such a like thing. And I think that's part of why Cass probably said yes to him, other than, like, just wanting to, like, make Dean proud and do the right thing. Is that, like, Heaven hates them both. Like, they have a shared... Like, they have common ground in the fact of...
Yeah.
They're both fallen angels, and Heaven hates them both with a passion. And I think that's a
and they're brothers, too.
Well, that too, but it's like, what else do they have in common besides?
Really, yeah. Lucifer's more like an estranged brother than anything. But yeah, I do believe that they kind of find that solidarity between one another. For that, they relate.
I'm choking.
I'm just dying over here.
Sorry, I choked on my juice.
That's sad.
I didn't ask to have diabetes. Leave me alone.
But you got the good juice, so that's good.
I think Casifer was one of the best arcs that they did, and it was long. It was a long arc. It went like 10 episodes. It spanned
the majority of the season.
Yeah, it went like half.
Yeah.
Because it went episode 14 to episode 23. It was 9 episodes.
Yeah. Which is awesome, first off. So much Casifer.
So much content. I remember looking forward to it so much.
I mean, just like we were looking forward to Demon Dean, but 3
episodes,
guys.
I
Jensen even said that he wanted more of it, but, you know...
I was going to say something about the finale, but we'll talk about that when we do an episode on the finale.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yes.
I just have a thing I'm going to tell the audience. I made her rewatch 1520 recently. And it's not, I didn't make her rewatch,
as in I was sitting next to him.
I didn't make her watch it. She was sitting next to me while I was watching it. And she could hear it because my AirPods were dead.
Listen.
My AirPods were dead, so she could hear it. And I would like it to be known that it wasn't that loud until I started messing with her, and then I turned it all the way up, so she had to hear it.
No!
But, she was sitting next to me, and we were on the run-up, and I kept pausing it, because, I was trying to mentally prepare myself to watch it a second time. So, I'm on the run-up, and we get the shot of, Dean by the rebar before... when they throw him past it and he, goes back, whatever. And then we get the shot while he's fighting right before they run backwards. And I literally had to pause it because I could not function. Because we were in class! And I was watching it. Because, I don't like to pay attention in class. It happens, and I literally had to close my laptop. Both times I watched it, I had to pause it and close my laptop and, take a minute. I could not function. It's just... And my thing with that is that it's such a visceral thing. It's so...
Gosh, okay, I told you this, but for the audience... many of you probably have the same experience, right? I watched it, cry at 1 or 2 in the morning, and, because I was binging, trying to finish the season, I cried for 2 hours, fell asleep at 3 or 4 in the morning. I fell asleep at 3 or 4 in the morning. I woke up, cried, got my mom to cry, because I was telling her all about everything that happened. I literally... had this ache in my back and my gut for 2 weeks. 2 weeks straight. I was just so devastated. My grades declined. I was just in a horrible mood. I have not watched that episode in full, or at all. in the last year and almost a half, I have not watched that episode or any clips from it, because every time I think about it, or see something about it, I either cry and or get a, like, gut feeling in my stomach again, and I feel like I'm gonna die.
And then you got me to watch it.
And you did this to me.
And then you got me to watch it, and all I ever saw after the finale were sad edits, including that clip, and I was like, hey, let me send this to Arya, like, she'll love it. And
why?
You're just
why
like, I'm gonna
do you
kill
have to be such a masochist? You pass it on to me.
Live footage of me rewatching 15/18, like, I think I watched it at least 5 times. At least 5.
Me, only the twice. At least that one's, like, that one has circumstances around it that are, in essence, positive. There's nothing positive about episode 20.
That and, like...
But I will leave it at that.
Cas...
I don't want to...
Cas is less... I don't want to say visceral, because it's, like, kind of weird, because the sound effect is fucking nasty. But it's less plausible. It's less realistic. And I almost want to say it's less human.
Yeah.
Dean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, well, because, first off, he's an angel.
Well, yeah.
Second off, they're being chased by death. And thirdly, Cas gets swallowed by a blob of black goo. Like, there's something a little difficult to wrap our brains around that. But the whole circumstances surrounding Dean's death is 100% realistic.
Like,
and
it's
could
down
happen.
to earth. It's
Granted,
very human. And it's, like, it's a rational fear. Like, not that, you know,
like,
that is something that I'm worried about on the daily. But, you know, rusty nails are a valid fear.
In how many TV shows and or movies have you seen someone get pierced by rebar? Okay? I can count off at least 4, I believe. Like, there's so many.
Just the one.
I can count at least 2 in Marvel.
Yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, at least, and
Just off the top of our heads.
Off the top of our heads, there's Peggy Carter and something in Daredevil. Just saying.
Alright, well, I have been Cas.
And I have been Arya, and thank you for listening to our podcast, if you even got this far. Next week's episode, we are doing Sam's mysteriously disappearing powers. If you'd be interested in that, that's coming out next week, next Friday, March the 11th. So, stay tuned for that. And make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We'll keep you posted on behind the scenes, updates. We can even have a community discussion if you'd like. So, check us out on there at Wayward Sisters Pod. And you guys have a great rest of your day.